We continue our coverage from Husker Harvest Days, and two guys hopefully you hear most every day on the radio or on the internet. Here with AgView, I'm Ken Rahjes, joined by Ryan Martin, who does markets daily on AgView and agview.net and on radio stations around the Midwest. Ryan also serves as Chief Meteorologist for Allendale, and he is a broker. And so we're going to spend a few moments picking Ryan's brain about a number of different things. And I think, Ryan, I guess we could spend a lot of time talking about the commodity. We'll talk commodities just a little bit, but let's maybe first talk about the weather. We've been on the grounds. There's been a lot of questions, a lot of concern, dare I say hyperbole, about El Nino. You've had great experience. Give us your take.
Well, I think El Nino is one of the biggest farces that we've talked about in 2015 so far. It's the story that the market doesn't want to give up. Every day, every week, we hear something about El Nino. I haven't been a big El Nino supporter for two reasons. First of all, El Nino is not the big crop problem maker. If you want to talk about crop problems, it's La Nina. Okay, so El Nino is not as big of a story. Usually it does decent things for the corn crop across the Corn Belt. Usually your temperatures aren't too bad, but it's not generally a big story. The other reason why I think that El Nino this year is a farce is because there are two things that go into an El Nino. Warm water temperatures in the equatorial Pacific, that's the one everybody talks about. But the other piece is pressure differential just off the northeast coast of Australia. That's the piece that's missing. So everybody's talking about how this is going to be the Super Nino. Oh, this is the worst one since '97. Look at the numbers. Numbers so far say, 2009, it's like 2003. And then you've got the pressure piece that's missing. This is a farce. It's something that I think you said before keeps a few people employed.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, so we talk about that. The other thing, middle of September, as we record this, combines are going to start to roll. Planters are going to start to go, or drills to seed the wheat crop. There's some concern there short term. What about the next few weeks, harvest kind of weather?
Well, we'll talk harvest here first. I don't see any major problems with harvest weather here. I kind of like the pattern that we found ourselves in. We've gotten some timely rains. We have some thunderstorms that move through, nice fronts, but we tend to come in right behind, dry things out fairly quick. So if we're looking to harvest, I really don't see anything problematic. The only problems I see harvest for the plains area might be if a few crops are a little bit late. But then again, if we're going to see windy conditions through the rest of September into October, that probably throws lateness out the window as we dry things down pretty quick. Now, winter wheat planting, I know there's some guys that are waiting till they get another half to 1.5 inch event before they go out into the field. Those may be a little bit more difficult to pinpoint because, as we've seen all summer, we've had good rains that come through, but the haves and the have-nots, that's been the story. I don't see that story going away this fall. I think eventually, let's go through at late October, we're all going to get the rain we need to plant, but will you get it when you want to plant? That's up for debate.
All right, let's talk commodities. You also commodity broker on the front lines on a day-to-day basis, and you are one that has made your feelings very clear on some of the reporting leading up to this harvest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, there are some things going on in the marketplace or that are being blamed for some of these market moves that are just ludicrous. And we can point to one that happened just a few days ago, just a few days before we record this. Wheat going up 16 cents on the Monday before here. And why? There's no reason. You come to find out, oh, well, there was some frost concern down in South America, in Brazil. They're coming out of winter, going into a spring season. I liken this to the guys that I'm talking to. It's like, this is the same as talking about frost in Kansas in late March. Who cares? Who cares? Same thing on a lot of these other deals. Another thing happening right now, the Fed hiking interest rates. Well, we've had that blamed for all sorts of different things in the macro market, which spills over into the grains. Again, who cares? If they raise it a quarter point and it doesn't work, they can come back in December and say, oh, our bad, and drop it back down. There's a lot of talk in this marketplace right now that's been trying to spur prices one way or the other. Where I am getting the feeling there's a lot more market manipulation. Are there still opportunities? Yes, I'm going to sit here and tell you there are plenty of opportunities. But where we need to kind of look at things now is looking at it in a smart way, a risk management way. Some of the things that people have told me here at Husker Harvest Days, well, with corn being where it is, I can't plant corn anymore. Guess what? Market doesn't care. Market doesn't care if you can plant corn. What you've got to do is you've got to look at it in a way it's like, okay, I really can't make what I did 3 years ago when we had $7 corn. Guess what? You're not. But there are still opportunities to protect yourself and move forward. Input costs are still sky high. They'll come down if price is down. But what do you do in the meantime? That's where I come in. That's where we can manage some risk.
Let's do rapid fire. Get your take on some states and what you've heard and what you've seen. Minnesota.
Garden spot. Fantastic. Best corn they've ever had. I believe it.
Indiana.
Indiana, good corn in spots, bad corn in spots. 22 inches of rain in June in spots. Indiana, up and down. I believe the USDA numbers on Indiana.
Ohio.
Ohio, doesn't matter. Western Ohio, yeah, they were wet. They've got some good corn there. Ohio, the number 6, number 7 corn producer, doesn't matter.
Missouri.
Missouri, wipe it off the face of the earth. Absolutely horrible corn over most of the state. Beans may be able to come along. But again, Missouri, we're talking a state that's outside the top 5 in production. Missouri is getting more press than it deserves.
Before we don't want to take up a lot of time, let's quickly touch on the livestock. We're in that, boy, we're back to seemingly volatility in the cattle market. We're going from, well, not necessarily, we're trading in a very wide range, and it seems like people are trying to make that market, but it also seems like we're not moving that much product.
Well, the problem is, that is the problem. We are not moving a lot of product, and we're seeing guys. I think the livestock market, the cattle market in general, is falling under the same kind of principle that really hurt the corn market, I'm going to say, a year and a half ago, where guys were used to getting these great prices. Prices start to go away. What do? You sit on them. Now, you can sit on corn for a long time. Cattle, you can only sit for so long, and the guys that do are bringing in the market heavy. That's what we've got going on right now. The cash cattle that are coming to market right now are way too heavy, and you're not going to work through that sooner rather than later. It's going to take a while. Then on top of that, we've got a situation where our demand is okay, but we've also been dealing with $5 ground beef now for a while. Everybody was saying there's a push point. We all thought it would come sooner, but now I watch people go to the grocery store. They pick up hamburger. They pick up steak. They look at it. They put it down, walk out with chicken, walk out with pork. And you've got chicken supplies that are up. You got pork supplies that are up. Beef has some competition for the first time in a while, and beef has got to come to the table to play.
All right, so Ryan, if they hear you on a daily basis, maybe read some of your stuff or follow your podcast at agview.net on a daily basis, both opening and close, get that in. How can folks get more information, talk with you?
Well, of course, you can always go to the Allendale website, allendale-inc.com. I'm there. I have a weather blog that you can get to. Not really subscription-based, but you can find my information there. You can also give me a call. I talk with people anytime. Just hunt me down, and I'll talk your ear off.
All right, Ryan, well, great. Have a good rest of the year.
You do the same, Ken.
Ryan Martin, who is part of the AgView team. He does our markets daily on the radio, as well as has opening and closing podcasts on the market page at agview.net. For AgView, I'm Ken Rahjes.